everybody. Welcome back to the Dice Tower and to another Catchupalooza. My name is Zee Garcia.
I'm Mike DiLisio.
I'm Chris Yee.
I'm Camilla Cleghorn.
Today we are going to be taking a look at Bruges here that I've played before, but none of these hooligans had yet. Is that right?
That's
you
correct.
hadn't played either. No one had played.
Nope.
I was the only one who had played. This is a Stefan Feld game from a few years ago, a decent amount of years ago now. And it's one that I really enjoy. It's a Stefan Feld game. The theme's not going to matter a whole lot here.
You could maybe even just set this in a completely different city.
You might even
if you
reprint it in
wanted.
a different place and setting, and
And no
just,
beige.
and no one would notice.
You can do that.
But I really do enjoy this one. I think it's one that it's one of my favorite Feld games. I like that it retains a lot of the things that Stefan Feld, as the designer, tends to do. This point salad feeling, getting a few points from a lot of different things. But I also think it has a decent amount of personality for being, again, sort of a easily movable Euro game where you can just set it somewhere else. So I like it. It's kind of it's a punchy one that I do enjoy. So we played it, set it up. You guys hadn't played it. You all had a curiosity about it. This version we're looking at right here is out of print right now. So I went ahead and taught you first impressions going in, looking at the board as I was setting it up, shuffling up the cards. What do you guys think you were going to get? Well, I mean, you're all familiar with Feld. Where was your head at as you looked at it before we jumped into the gameplay?
Now I've got the song "Where's Your Head at" in my head. So
Where's your head at?
good
That's
job,
a song?
Zee.
Yeah.
Oh, it was a song from yesteryear.
Oh, that should not
Easily forgettable.
I know it.
Should have been forgotten.
Should have been forgotten.
Wow.
Well, I looked at this and I thought, okay, this is a certain period of Stefan Feld. You can kind of tell from the art style and everything. And then when you said that there were punishment tokens,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this is the punishment era of Feld.
That's right.
You know?
Yeah. So in the Year of the Dragon, Notre Dame, where he was doing, instead of you getting points, you'll lose points unless you do a thing, which really is the same thing.
It is,
But
yeah.
I guess he was feeling mean that decade. That was the whole decade. It was like 2 weeks. He probably knocked out all 3 games in 2 weeks.
That's correct.
That's definitely an aspect, though I will say it's way less punishing in this game generally than say in the Year of the Dragon, which is all about that. That was the worst weekend he had when he made that one. This one's a little closer to Notre Dame with the rats, right?
I guess I came into this with kind of trying to figure out which kind of Feld bucket, trademark, which Feld bucket this one was going to go into, because I have kind of I have a real interesting relationship with his games, I suppose, where some of them I really do like and other ones I bounce off of really hard. And I don't know, I haven't figured out what it is. I feel like sometimes he gets in his own way, like, for example, Bonfire. Those Feld games where it's like a whole bunch of setup, a whole bunch of things going on, I tend to bounce off of those.
Right.
Feel a bit overwrought.
Yeah, overwrought.
Yeah.
But when you were done with the teach, I was cautiously optimistic that this was not going to be, because I felt like as soon as you were done teaching me the game, before we even started playing, I got it.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, I think I know exactly what this is about. I think I see the different strategies you might try to do.
Right.
I felt like I could almost teach it to somebody else before I'd even played it. So, real streamlined rule set, which I appreciated.
I should say really quick before we get your thoughts is that we're not doing a rules overview. We're not doing a rules explanation of everything. We'll put a link to probably your review of it.
I don't know.
Whoever
reviewed
reviewed it.
Whoever
we'll throw
reviewed
you
it.
a link to our Dice Tower review in there. Sure. Yeah. I don't know who did.
If you want some more context of the game, we'll link you to another video. Sorry.
No, don't be sorry. No, it's fine. It's good. I mean, I went into this knowing absolutely nothing. I don't have a huge array of Felds that I've played. I have played some of his, but not enough to know where I stand as with him as a designer. And as a shallow gamer, I think we know what I thought going into this. I was like, oh. yeah, I'll play. You know, like
This
it's
is actually
like,
one of the
cool.
better looking
It-
shows.
yeah,
It really is,
thing.
actually.
That's the
it
thing.
really is.
Michael Menzel's art is usually
Right.
pretty good.
Yeah.
And, evocative.
Plus, you have a lot of characters.
You do.
They all do
You do,
have
yeah.
distinct artwork.
Yes.
It's
Right.
okay artwork,
But I mean,
you know.
but looking at the cover, I mean, that's like, hey, come play this.
You want to play Euro game?
Cool.
The city game?
Yeah. So I mean, going into it, I wasn't enthused. I wasn't dreading it. It's just more like, all right, yeah, you know, I'll go in it for the experience. But I didn't understand because during the teach it was a whole lot of this little rule, you can do this, and I was like, that's a lot of options. And then that first turn, so I can do this, but what does this mean? Okay, now I got it. It just took that one turn for the whole game to kind of like fall into place.
Yeah.
You know, so during the rules it was a little bit of overload almost, you know, but you get one turn, it's like, all right, I got it. And maybe like 1-2 questions the whole rest of the game. You know, so it falls into place really quickly. And I really appreciated that because it does kind of have that split mindset where it's like you're balancing a lot of things and different options you can do. But very quickly, you see it all come together well.
The game does a good job helping you know what you can do, I
Yes.
find. You know, that's
Yeah.
mainly coming from these cards here. On your turn, you get to do one of 6 things every time it's your turn. But they're right here down the side of the card.
The multi-use card,
You know?
graphic design
It's
is
like the
solid.
integrated
is
player
very
aid, right? It's like a player aid on every card.
is its own player aid.
Yeah.
It really does work well.
I'm going to say something that may make no sense. Let me know if this makes any sense to you or if it resonates with you at all.
Got it.
This game to me is a card game that feels like a board game.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like
Yeah, sure.
everything is
Yeah,
card driven.
it is.
This is essentially
Yeah.
a card game.
Yeah.
But there is a board, obviously, and so but this is almost arbitrary. This is really more a score tracker.
It's-
There's a couple of little tracks here. You've got the you
Yeah.
know the canals, and you've got your little kind of like
Which is another track.
which is another track.
yeah.
It's
and
three-
it's a
it's-
place-to-place dice, which you don't need
Which you don't
there.
need. But yeah, again, but
It's-
it's a card game that feels more substantial, I guess.
Yeah.
You know what I
I'd never
mean?
thought of it that way, but you are right. This
You're
is
100%
very
right.
much a
Yeah.
cards
Absolutely.
first
Yeah.
kind of design.
Right.
And I think that's why I like it a lot,
Right.
because I do like card games, and this stuff isn't enough. There's no grid. There
Right.
is no Trajan hula baloo, or you're going
Minigame
like,
here,
okay,
minigame there,
so draw a path, a Bora Bora. You know, there's no Bora Bora in this. Yeah, I think that's why I like it as much as I do. Because you're right, it's
Yeah.
kind of a card game.
And he had a much more recent card game called Cocopelli, he being Stefan Feld, that I did not like as much because that felt slight and like a mechanism in search of a game, where this felt like a pretty stripped down card game that had a great experience. I really liked this.
Where you can't do
Yeah.
everything, all those things you want from a
Right.
good Euro style game. You know, options that are straightforward, but you want to do them all, but you can't. And then small little pressure points start showing up. Like, I really want to build this, but ooh, that bad thing is getting close to triggering for me.
Right.
Do I deal with it? I like the mix.
One of the things.
Go ahead.
One of the things I haven't seen before, so they're all multi-use cards. They can do one of the 6 things on the side, or you flip them over for a building, or you develop their character. You get that character in your town, right? I love that. It's laid out very well. One of the things that surprised me about it is that the card backs are all different colors, and I thought, as soon as you're like partway through teaching the game, I said, got it. They're all different colors because you have to build up different parts of your canal. There are different color requirements. The threat tokens are all different colors. So each card has something about getting rid of a threat of its color type. It falls together as you're I think we had a little different experience where I looked at this and I said, I think I understand it halfway through the rules
Right,
teach.
that's where I
this
was
is
at.
this is brilliant. And for you, it took
Okay.
one turn,
Right.
which also still speaks to how
Right.
focused I think
Right.
it is as a game.
Yeah.
I've played a decent amount of Felds that end up feeling like there's one, sometimes 2 things that feel bolted on after most everything else was done. He like reached into his drawer of mechanisms and was like, you know what this needs? One more thing.
Right.
I'm going to go ahead and bolt this thing on here.
Let's stick a turn order thing in here. Yeah.
Yeah, something, right?
Yeah.
There's some other thing. This one I don't feel has that, and it never needed it. I think it's fine the way it is, but it felt like I don't know if the temptation wasn't there or what, but it feels like it doesn't have that one thing that halfway through the rules or near the end I have to go, okay, by the way, one other thing. Here's how this other thing works.
Right.
And I like that too. And so I get what you're saying. If you've played a decent amount of these kinds of games, yeah, it's possible you will halfway through the teach be like, I think I got it.
Yeah.
But even someone who hasn't can jump in as well.
Yeah.
It's not like this is you need that background in order to be able to get it.
Yeah.
You know?
I also like this. It has a huge deck of cards, right? So a big deck of cards, and there's a lot of, much of the game is essentially top decking, right? And so there's a lot of luck involved.
You just draw
However,
cards off the top.
you're drawing cards off the top of a couple of piles. So there's a lot of luck involved. However, we're all subject to that same luck. And so it didn't feel arbitrary, even though, hypothetically, if some player gets like a really good card out in the first round and just, uses that card to great effect.
If some person recognizes that's a great card when
Right.
she barely, or he
Yeah.
barely
Hypothetically.
understands the game,
And invested
She's
a lot
genius.
of
Right, invested a lot to get it. So no, I guess that's
I
what
wasted a whole turn to get that card out.
But it paid off, and that's the thing is like I didn't feel like annoyed. That's like, oh, she got this broken card out, and that's why she won.
Yeah.
No. We all have these opportunities.
Yeah.
It's how
Right.
well do we take advantage of the opportunities that are presented to us.
And to the point, I think too, there were those turns where I was almost digging, like I need a blue card, and so that little bit of push your luck, which pile, and then you don't get it. But then it's okay. But
Pivot.
how do I maximize this hand? Because there is enough other stuff going on.
Yeah.
And I think what was really interesting to me is we talked about that negative points if the flood or the fire or the famine, whatever is triggered. One of the cards that I also got out early game turned that into a positive thing.
Yeah.
And so it's like as many tokens as I have out at the end of the game, those are going to be extra points.
Right.
So I thought that was interesting too because it gave a little bit of a play style. So I guess to the point here is like we each had different strategies based on the city that the town that we had built. And I thought that was really interesting because it's not asymmetrical player powers, but it's you're building your asymmetrical city and kind of like helping it run itself and building some of your own endgame scoring. And I really enjoyed that aspect of it.
Yeah, very quickly you'll start to prioritize certain colors you want to trigger the people you've acquired. You will change the way you're pursuing things or maybe even mostly ignoring some things. I did very little canal building in this play we had, and I was doing other things.
Yeah.
But it's not that I was, like you're saying, I had plenty to do. I was definitely not feeling like, well, I don't know what to do with this hand, with this card.
Right.
They all do so much. You will always find yourself using them for something useful. And yet, very quickly, we all become asymmetric or
differentiated.
Yeah, because there is the luck involved. And where that gets frustrating in games is when there's luck involved and then you have that completely useless turn or useless round. I never felt that.
No.
There was always something for me to do with that, quote, unlucky hand that I got.
Right. I always wanted
know.
one more turn, which is the best feeling in these types of
Right.
games. It's like there's so much I want to do, I can't quite get there.
But then you can hold that card for next round, which
You
is
can.
cool. So you are also thinking
Right.
ahead, and that
Right.
might change your strategy for the next round. That was really neat.
I like
Sorry,
the
not to cut you off.
I like the card backs are all different colors too. So I'm fishing for a blue card, and you have that little bit of information, even though you're just drawing cards.
Right,
off the top
yeah,
of
you
the
don't know
deck.
what the character will be,
Right.
but you know 5 of the 6 things that card does.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's
I need
really.
red helpers or whatever to trigger this guy's power, then I need a red card. It'll
Right.
give me 2 of those, guaranteed. I know it does that.
Yeah. I think the only thing that I would say, so I took it home over the weekend after we played it. I taught it to Wendy. Played 2 back-to-back 2-player games of it. I think I like this game with more players than 2.
Yeah.
Because there's a fun little majorities thing that you're shooting for in this game. I find that majorities with 2-player games are tricky, and so it's easier to kind of box somebody out. Whereas with lots of players, that majority shifts around a lot. And as soon as you have reached a majority in one of the 3 categories once, you get permanent 4 points. You can lose that majority and someone else gets to flip over their 4-point token.
Yeah, you don't lose the token.
Right.
I love that. I don't know why I've never seen that in another game.
That was really cool.
But in a 2-player game, I thought, oh, that part's a little lacking because it's easier to kind of box people out of things. You just stay one step ahead. And so this is one of the few times I've ever said about a Stefan Feld game, this plays better with more players.
Yeah,
But I think that's too 'cause
it's a good 4-player game.
Yeah, the turns are so quick.
Really?
It's zippy,
You know,
yeah,
it's
that's true, it is.
It really is.
All right, guys. Well, anybody else got anything before we jump into our final thoughts here? We don't normally do ratings for a Catchupalooza. We'll just give you a breakdown, and I guess I'm supposed to start here because I've played it before. And it is one of three things: buy it, bring it, bury it. Buy it, of course. It might be a little tricky on this one. Watch out for your wallet. But that would be something you would want to add to your collection, something you would enjoy that much. Bring it, of course, if you bring it to a game night or someone else has it, you're happy to play it. And then bury it, maybe not physically out in the backyard, but just put it at the bottom of the pile. Not something I want to play. For me, I own this game, not this copy. This is the library's copy. But I own it. I'm very happy with it. It is absolutely one of my favorite Stefan Feld games, if not my favorite. So, through and through, this is a buy it for me. Very happy with it. It's a game I had a blast teaching you guys and playing again. So, that's what I think of it.
Yeah, I don't own it, obviously, but if I found it for a reasonable price, I would also buy it. I think this... I want to play it some more before I would say this, but this is definitely in the upper echelon of Feld games. It could end up being my favorite. I really enjoy it a lot. And oddly, I think my favorite game right now, besides this, would have been Trajan, which is on the other end of the scale.
It is very much.
But, man, I really enjoyed it. Buy it.
Yeah.
Wow. For me, the only hang-up that prevents it, I think, from being a buy it is the two-player thing. For me to personally own a game in my collection, it's very rare that I'm going to own like a game that's, say, 3 or 4 player count, right? It's a bring it. It's a definite bring it because I really like this one. I like it even more thinking about it as a card game because then the swinginess of the characters and stuff, that's a card game thing, you know, and I like that. I got this great card. You got a different great card. I like your great card more than mine, you know?
Yeah.
But this is definitely a bring it. We've alluded to this. There's a new reprint of it coming out. Some other city name. I don't even remember which one.
I do not remember.
It's from
Cucamonga, I think?
It's from Queen.
Winnemucca.
Queen Games is reprinting a bunch of Feld games, and they've changed the cities for some reason.
Yeah. So this will more easily become a buy it, I suppose, for people. For me, it's wavering right on the edge. That's what I want to emphasize. Is that like I could own this game happily.
Yeah. I think I was wavering between that as well, bring it and buy it. What kind of brings it down is the shallow gamer in me. You know, I want a different theme or prettier. You know, but what puts it to the buy it is ultimately, if I didn't have someone that would bring it, then I'm going to buy it. Like, I want access to this game. And I was like, so then it's a buy it. You know, and so I think that's what pushed me into that higher rating is I wouldn't want to be without the game, if that makes sense, you know? And so I really enjoyed this one.
I can't quit you, Bruges.
Well, good news for you, it'll soon become Alamo, Nevada, the city game, so...
Fantastic.
Yeah, great. All right, folks, so there you go. That is Bruges for our Catchupalooza. Thanks very much for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed that. Let us know in the comments below where you would slot Bruges here and just kind of where you think this one fits among the Feld games you've played. But that's going to do it. My name is Zee Garcia.
I'm Mike DiLisio.
I'm Chris Yee.
And I'm Camilla Cleghorn.
Have fun playing Feld games. We'll see you next time.
Shuffled for you.
I know, right? Randomness plus 30.
And I'll only get 40 comments on it.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Dice Tower and Catchupalooza.
I'm sorry, can we start over?
You jumped.
Did you see the fly?
literally drove by your
it like
face.
went right in front of my face.
Oh, I think you jumped because I went, hey.